So, Dustin, if I may, I've been itching. We're not going to go in order of the show sheet because I I should finish a thought when I say something like I've been itching, huh?
Yes.
Is that why you gave me that?
It is exactly why.
I've been itching. I've talked to my doctor about it, and he says we have to talk about Kyle Pitts and George Kittle to get rid of it. So let's do this thing. Let's rip the tight end Band-Aid off here and just ask. Now, these are two options going into the season that we said, all right, they're top at worst 6 tight ends going into the season in PPR. Kyle Pitts, people had pretty high, myself included. People were hopeful for George Kittle still. Instead, they're sitting at tight end 27 and tight end 28 in full PPR and points per game. That is per Fantasy Pros rankings, by the way. Just want to throw that out there. So for the rest of this season, I mean, they're both kind of gross options seemingly right now. But if we had to pick one, Nate, who would you rather ride out the rest of this season with?
Oh, it's George Kittle. I like the system better. We know how he fits into a Kyle Shanahan offense. We know how he fits into Jimmy Garoppolo being a quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo is taking backup reps. He's basically going through preseason. This offense is going to gel. As long as Kittle stays healthy, I'm not worried about him. I still think he's a tight end one end of the season. Pitts, though, this seems to be a system issue. This seems to be an Arthur Smith issue. He's just not getting the usage we all thought, especially with Mariota coming in and how he peppered Delaney Walker in Tennessee. I'm more concerned about Kyle Pitts rest of the season. I think Kittle gets right.
Interesting. Are you on the get right track with Kittle as well, Jen?
Yeah. I mean, he basically stole everything I was going to say, but we really haven't seen anything from Kyle Pitts this year, and Mariota's kind of flailing out there. Jimmy G just got back into it, like Nate said, with, he's been taking practice reps for all of this off season and in the season until 2 weeks ago. So they fit together. They know each other. Yes, Kittle had some fumbles this past weekend, but you've got to keep Kittle there in top 5 and bump Pitts way back out. I mean, he's just not doing it.
Yeah, and the mention here of Arthur Smith and how he relates and how he can utilize him is very interesting. And we'll see with Cordero Patterson, maybe sidelined for just a bit. I had higher hopes that Pitts would get some traction. Dustin, do you think that that's what it would take, or will that even do it to get Pitts back on track?
I'm hopeful that Pitts gets back on track, but I don't. Without a quarterback change, I think maybe if Desmond Ridder, they throw him in because they're 0 or 1 and whatever come later in the season here, that maybe a quarterback change just with the rookie coming in using the tight end as his blanket, safety blanket there, that could improve as the season goes on. But I think at this point, I'm going to agree with our guests here and go with Kittle.
I want to believe in George Kittle. I don't know. I don't know what to think of either of them, frankly. And the fact that we're now debating between these two, or just being like, screw it, man, I'm picking up Tyler Conklin and I'm just going to see how that shakes out.
Right.
Pretty disconcerting. Now, hypothetically here, so if Kittle is kind of the option, is he still a matchup dependent guy for you? Or are you saying week in and week out, I'm just going to leave him in there to see what happens? Any thoughts on that?
This is so hypocritical because I did sit Kittle. I don't even remember in favor of who this past week, but I was like, I just am not feeling it this week. And it ended up working out for me, obviously, or maybe not obviously, but it did end up working out for me. I'll probably ride him for the rest of the season, depending on, like you said, matchup or performance. If there's poor performance moving forward as he has more time to reacclimate with Jimmy G.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to start him until he falters again. But I don't know. What do I know?
He's George Kittle, though.
He's George Kittle. That's the thing is, that's like, I'm going to sit Aaron Rodgers. You're not going to sit Aaron Rodgers. You might want to. But
I will sit Aaron Rodgers, Nate. I have sat Aaron Rodgers, and you know what? He needs to think about it and get himself back on track. So I'm doing the work for him. But I get what you're saying. Dustin, who would you like? I do want to move away from tight ends as fast as possible. I just wanted to put that one in because I think we can all agree, and correct me if I'm wrong, but outside of this, it's just like pick up and stream whoever you can, whoever you think can get you a touchdown on that week. Is that kind of our thoughts for tight ends outside of these? Does anybody have like, oh no, screw these guys, go get this tight end?
I like Hayden Hurst.
Hayden Hurst is a good one. I mean, Taysom Hill, depending on where you're classifying him, as far as tight end, running back, or wide receiver.